Hello, lovers and haters, likers and dislikers. My name is Shannon Gregory. I'm originally from Indiana, which makes me a Hoosier, but now I'm a sinner. I live in Vegas, Sin City, and all I got for living here is this lousy t shirt. So, as tax day in the United States approaches on April 15th, I'm reminded about yet another dark, ominous, dreadful day. Yes, exactly, my birthday. No, my birthday does not coincide with tax day, April 15th, or I would have lost it a long time ago. And some of you, it's debatable, could argue that I have already lost it. But anyway, I don't think I have yet, but I'm on my path probably. But the day of my birth falls a month prior to tax day on the Ides of March, for those of you who might recall Shakespeare, which is not only my birthday, but as I mentioned, the day Julius Caesar was assassinated by those closest to him and who he trusted the most. Not unlike my experience at Indiana University, that will be detailed. Here's a shameless promotion, a shameless plug. That will be detailed in my forthcoming memoir titled Indiana Wants Me: How Power, Authority, and Privilege Can Corrupt, Destroy, and Promote Hatred in Just About Anyone. I'm plugging away on that. I'm trying to get it to the place, but it's a work in progress because it's about my life, and I'm not dead yet. So thankfully, so I'm still working on wrapping that up. But anyway, however, unlike Julius Caesar, like I mentioned, I'm not dead yet. Although not for the lack of trying by others who remain nameless. But I'm a pussy like that. A cat, not a pussy cat. So calm down, you pervs. Um, I'm a pussy cat like that. I have like 9 lives, okay? Or like a guardian angel or a gaggle of guardian angels. I don't know what's going on, but I want to thank the gaggle of guardian angels that have taken care of me. They're working overtime to keep me here. And I would not be here without them. That is absolutely 100% true. So I'm not joking about that. So I do thank those guardian angels out there. But anyway, I don't want to make a boner. Calm down. Take it down 1,000 pervs. I mean, I want to make a mistake in front of everyone. I want to make a boner in front of everyone. But where am I at here? Let's see. As you may recall from high school English class lessons on Shakespeare, the Ides of March is March 15th, the day the mysterious soothsayer futilely cautioned Julius Caesar to beware the Ides of March. And Julius Caesar, of course, ignored the warnings and faced his fate with his close associates. But again, not unlike tax day here in the U.S., ye beware the Ides of April. Is that a thing? I don't know. Can every month have the Ides? I guess, right? So, since I've notched another year on my belt or headboard or wherever you notch passages and milestones in life, I'm reminded that now that I'm age 52, I may have fewer days ahead of me than I have behind me. It's quite a sobering thought, right? I never thought of that when I was younger. I never thought about the end of my life. And I always thought, well, I have so much more ahead of me than behind me. But now that's becoming the opposite, right? As we age, I'm nearing senior citizenry, I guess. I don't know. Because I do get invitations now from AARP, which don't make me very happy. I remember the first one I got was Welcome to the 50s Club after my 50th birthday. And I was like, no, don't do that. No, I don't need that. No, I don't want to be in the 50s Club. Although I'm fine with it now. I've accepted that I'm nearing senior citizenry. I guess they want me to be retired. I'm not, but maybe that's what they're trying to urge me to. I don't know. But so until recently, I haven't dwelled on the end of my life or the end of days for me. Until, like I said, I get AARP invitations and whatnot. But I keep thinking that the end of days are rapidly approaching, I guess. I don't know. Hopefully not. Hopefully I got another 20 maybe. I don't know. But I drive and goad myself now more than ever to seize the day or carpe diem or whatnot, or live life to the fullest, as those adages are. They're very indeed apropos, so I'm not making fun of them, making light of them. And I'm more than ever, I try to live the best life that I can do and live my best life every day. I'm working on that. It's a work in progress, as everything about me is. But last year, when I turned 51, I discovered this wonderful, simple, wise, knowing, and very remarkably comfortable quote by the late David Bowie, who so eloquently said, "Aging is an extraordinary process whereby you become the person you always should have been." And a light bulb went off. I'm like, oh my goodness, I wish I had heard that quote so long ago. That probably would have helped me ease in to my skin a little bit more comfortably when I was more struggling than I do now. I mean, I'm still a work in progress, but that would have helped me know that, the ups and downs are just part of the journey, and it's going to hammer you and sculpt you into the person you always should have been. And I love that quote, and I love the late David Bowie. Although I didn't really know much about David Bowie, when I first got into pop music, modern, rock music and whatnot in the '80s, David Bowie was already an established artist on the world stage of like with Tina Turner, Elton John, Rolling Stones, and I was more interested into the new wave and to alternative music scene with like Depeche Mode, Madonna, Cyndi Lauper, Pet Shop Boys, and other artists. Those were more my speed. Although I didn't know David Bowie's prior work and legacy, that he was actually when he started, quite a radical experimental artist. And I could not believe he took on alter egos like Ziggy Stardust, and his outfits and clothes and hair. He set the stage and inspired a lot of those alternative artists that I admire and love. Still, he was someone who inspired them, and I did not know that, because when I started learning about David Bowie, he was like this mainstream icon, and so I wasn't so interested or intrigued, but now I am. So, especially after last year, the 2023 documentary about the late David Bowie's life called Moon Age Dream is a treat. You must see it if you're at all interested in his legacy and life and journey. It's wonderful. It's quite a trip, quite literally too. But I loved it, and it's so revealing, and it's in his own words, and everything, and it documents his complete journey in his career. And he was such a multi-talented artist that I didn't even realize that not only was he a musical artist, but a visual artist, an actor, and so involved in so many creative endeavors. And that he said very, very revealing and honestly that his older brother, who he, adored, I guess, and really respected, who had actually got him introduced to music, was sidelined by schizophrenia and was institutionalized for the remainder of his life, and that he couldn't, function in the everyday life. So he was institutionalized, unlike David. David said that he found a way to channel his mental issues through his art. And I guess we can thank schizophrenia, for David Bowie's art. I mean, all the great music and also his art. I mean, he's such a talented painter that, and in the documentary Moon Age Dream, you see his talent come to life. And the art was just, and also he did some experimental movies and videos. And he was quite a very interesting, bizarre, experimental person. He was so open to seeking and challenging himself. He had, of course, the means to live in different cities at different times in his life, to just take in that ambiance that would then inform his work. It was so brilliant. I wish I had the means to do that, but it's so inspiring. And so I realized David Bowie, to me, he epitomizes the, unlike few people do to me, the often dramatic evolution that we experience as we grow older. And thank you, David Bowie, for that wonderful quote. And that just really inspires me. But he was such a remarkable, multi-talented artist, and so inspirational now to me even more than ever, and to so many others who share his desire and adventure to seek, learn, grow, and evolve. So thank you, David Bowie. So that kind of brings me to a little quote, a little joke that I have that I worked on. Like everything, I'm workshopping here, so it might be a little rough around the edges, a little crusty. But I would imagine, like, how awful would it be if your dad was David Bowie? Like, that would be pretty devastating, right? Like, I would be horrified if my dad was David Bowie, because none of this would make sense. And I know it all makes sense, right? But now, but it wouldn't make sense if my dad was David Bowie. I'd be like, you're never going to be as rebellious or outrageous or whatnot as your dad, So how awful would that be? So I imagine, like, what if I had met David Bowie's son, younger, in our much younger days at school, so to speak, and I'm like, here's what might happen, okay? So I'm like, so get this. This new kid arrives at school, and he moves into town, and he's looking for friends, and I'm available. because I don't really have many friends. So he invites me over to hang out to his house because he's looking for friends, like I said, and I'm available. So I'm like, yeah, sure, that sounds great. I'll come over. Well, so I go over to his house, and it's quite a swanky little pad, right? I mean, it's really fancy and stuff. And so I'm like, I asked, like, what do your parents do? And he's like, my mom is a supermodel, and my dad is David Bowie. And I'm like, come again? What was that? My mom's a supermodel, and my dad's David Bowie. And I'm like, what? Are you for real right now? Your dad is David Bowie. And he's like nonchalantly, yeah, why? And he's like, and I'm like, the David Bowie? And he's like, yeah, like, is that bad or something? And I'm like, wow, I'm so sorry to hear that. And he's like, huh, what? I'm like, well, you're doomed. And he's like, what's going on right now? What? I'm like, well, you can never be as cool or as rebellious as your dad because your dad is David Bowie. I'm so sorry to hear that. It's too bad for you. And he's like, what's going on right now? I'm not understanding. It's all down here from here. It's all down here, hill from here. And he's like, what? And he's like, and I'm like, your dad sets the coolness bar so high that you can never attain it. You're never going to be as cool or as rebellious or maybe even as successful as your dad. I mean, and it's like, huh? Really? And I'm like, where's your dad right now? And he's like, he's on tour. And I'm like, I want to hang out with him. Is it nearby? Well, he's on tour. And I'm like, your dad's on tour. And he's like, yeah, like, what is happening right now? I'm like, your dad, David Bowie, is gallivanting around the world playing rock songs in front of rocker chicks and dudes, right? And he's like, I guess, but where are you going with this? Your dad is so freaking cool right now, but you're not. You can't ever be that cool, you see. I'm not following, really. I mean, what are you doing right now? Well, I'm here with you. And I'm like, exactly. Well, what do you mean? I'm like, there is nothing more uncool than being here with me right now, okay? He's like, what? Huh? You're so not cool because you're here with me. Wait, I'm confused. Well, yeah, well, you're so uncool, I gotta go. Because I go hang out with your dad. Your dad's not here, so I gotta go. Bye. What just happened? That's the joke. It might be a little rough, but hopefully you get the gist. That it would be horrible if your dad was David Bowie or Madonna or Elton John. Insert any inspirational, edgy artist that has been controversial and on the world stage like that. So anyway, I really wish that a long time ago I had heard, like I said, the David Bowie quote, or even other things like from Pet Shop Boys, which this quote that I love about from them, it's a lyric actually, that you always find inspiration in someone who is opening a closing door. And that's so true for me. And that's actually, which I didn't know at the time when I was in my teens early on, living in small town Indiana, which was hell. I'm not going to lie. That's probably what the project is trying to communicate. But I found purgatory, which is not hell, but it's hell adjacent, when I discovered MTV. So all the artists on MTV, which is very different than what it is now. Back then it was music television, it was videos, it was all the songs in the video form. It was quite revolutionary at the time. And that inspired me because then I got to see all of these people who were quite outrageous, androgynous, edgy, artsy. And it excited me, and it was, and it scared a lot of the world because in this country, the United States, at that time on cable, I don't know if you may not remember, I Want My MTV campaign was surfaced because so many communities didn't want MTV, and they were trying to get the cable companies not to bring it because they thought it was going to, influence the youth badly, and it was going to corrupt society and all that. And so they fought, and so MTV, the advertising execs was like, got the I Want My MTV campaign going, and to get MTV to the market in all the communities so that people could see this new revolutionary medium. And it was so exciting and fun, and I got to experience that. And that's what inspired all of this, I suppose. But it saved me, I think, from all the adolescent angst that I had. I mean, I had so much angst that I still have angst. Okay, that's probably, again, what's encouraging and promoting this project, that I'm still trying to work through all that angst. But it would have made a bit easier to be an outsider, misfit, miscreant. I don't know. Much easier. Although, to my credit, I did discern early on, like I said, once I found MTV, that kind of egged me on to stop worrying about so much why people didn't like me or didn't want to hang around with me or found me weird or too gay or whatever I was. So, like most, I wanted to be well liked, even popular, one of the cool kids, although that was never going to happen and never did. But I never fit in. I never really was well liked because of the small town thinking. I was bringing on that MTV flavor in my dress and hair and everything, and it just made me more of a extreme outsider. But then I just embraced that though, and then it just got worse. It got great for me, but worse for everyone else who didn't like it. But anyway, but I blamed myself, and I loathed so much about myself early on because I blamed things about me that probably I thought caused people not to like me or want to hang around with me, like my name, my voice, my lack of physical coordination and athletic skills, my being effeminate, being just completely weird. But I loathed all those things about me for so long. Still working through that. I just was not comfortable in my skin. But MTV and these artists like Depeche Mode, Pet Shop Boys, they they inspired me to try to be comfortable in my skin because I'm like, if they can be who they are, I can do it too. And so I did. And I want to thank all those great artists for being that way. But so anyway, small town Indiana became purgatory, not hell, because I thought, well, I'm stuck here until I graduate high school and whatnot. Can't change that. But I have to remember, I'm only in purgatory. It can get better or worse, and it has gotten better and worse. But that's life, right? As David Bowie says, it's a journey. It's a remarkable process where you become the person you always should have been. I hope that's who I'm becoming. But anyway, artists face often fierce headwinds to freely express themselves, like Elvis. Elvis, when his early career faced censorship, I mean, hatred. The haters really hated Elvis because he was corrupting the youth, and exciting their loins. And if you see the movie Elvis, you can see the scene where his loins excite the women. They scream involuntarily. It's hilarious. You got to see that. But anyway, MTV is the same thing. MTV, the artists there face fierce headwinds to express themselves into that medium and to get their messages and their art out into the world. But thankfully, they succeeded. And so, because of them, they helped me become more comfortable in my skin. So I credit all those great artists: Boy George, Madonna, Cyndi Lauper, Depeche Mode, Pet Shop Boys, so many Eurythmics, so many that really helped me become me. So I want to share some of the caveats or whatnot that I acquired through their music and their art and other people who influenced me. This is going to sound maybe a little new agey, a little self-helpy, which I guess is what it is because it's what helped me to get to be where I'm at. But anyway, I learned to work to reconcile that I was an unwitting outsider and doomed to reside on the island of misfit toys. But I eventually embraced that. Although in the beginning, being on the island of misfit toys is depressing. It's lonely. It's confusing, and I didn't like it. But then after a while, you kind of realize that this can be a fun place to be if you take it there, and that's what I'm doing. So anyway, one of the things that I learned was that my gayness actually is what makes people uncomfortable, not the other way around. I'm not uncomfortable being who I am. I'm born, I was born this way. I believe it. I knew it at 5 years old, okay? And I didn't think I had a problem. I was like, oh, that's who I am, because no one told me that something was wrong with me early on in my career life, although they did later. So I was like, well, this is just who I am. I don't know what it means. I didn't know about, sex acts or anything like that, but I'm like, I guess I'll figure that out as I grow older. And I was open to that. So I didn't think anything was wrong with me. But as I grew up and I became more effeminate and everything and more gay, my gayness is what makes people uncomfortable. And so their uncomfortableness makes me uncomfortable, and it made me loathe that part of myself. And then I learned that I need to stop that. I need to stop being uncomfortable with who I am because it's not about me. It's about that person being uncomfortable with who I am. If they don't like me, that's fine. Don't like me. Then I learned that if I wanted to show my true personality, that they might have liked me, but because of the negative reaction I was always getting, I suppressed my personality, and I suppressed and became very reserved and quiet and like a turtle in my shell. And I lived in my little shell, really happy life, but outside of that, I'm slow moving, reserved, scary, and maybe, I don't know, reptiles. Anyway, so I felt like because of other people's reaction to me, I couldn't share my true personality, and that was very unfortunate. And I'm still working through that. But then a big thing that I learned is that I don't want approval or validation from people just because they're popular or the cool kids or they're the authority figures or the leaders of the pack or the leaders of the community. That I want to respect these people, but they have to earn that respect. I don't care for their approval or validation just because that they are the chosen ones or whatnot. And that's a big thing to do. That you have to realize that the old school thinking is that the teachers, the community leaders, everybody, I assume they think that you want their approval. You need my approval as the teacher to get the grade you want, to get the recommendation letter, to get the career, and everything. So it's about politics, right? And I'm really bad at playing politics. I'm really bad at it. And it has doomed me, actually. It did. A powerful contingent at Indiana University destroyed my college experience and my professional career. And I have had to scrap together, and I've had really low-end jobs my whole life because of powerful people, because I don't play politics. And I want to respect these people, but I don't want their approval just because that they are the chosen ones. And it's hard. And it's a big sacrifice, but I have too much self-respect. Maybe it's to my discredit, but I have to respect myself more than anything. And so I won't sacrifice my principles and my values just to get someone's approval or recommendation or to fit in or to be accepted. I will not do it. And so I've learned another thing is that don't ever sacrifice your core for something, because you will lose so much more than you gain. I'm serious. It's painful. Let me tell you, I have lived a life that I could have been so much more, I believe. But I won't sacrifice my core values and principles. And so, because I want to respect at the end of the day, it's about me knowing I'm the best I can be and living my best life than anything else. It's hard to do. It's hard to do. But also, don't be ashamed of your weaknesses and your desires. If you're gay, you're gay. If you're not, you're not. If you're not good if you throw like a girl, which a lot of girls throw really well, so I don't think that's an insult. So if I throw like a girl, thank you, but I don't. I throw like a boy. Throw like a bad boy. But anyway, so embrace your flaws and work to improve yourself. And this is a big one too. People will give up on you, okay? Family, friends, lovers, teachers, all kinds of people will give up on you. It's just part of the journey. Don't take it personally, although you will. It's just part of being human. But don't ever give up on yourself in spite of those people, because at the end of the day, you can get through it. And I'm living proof of it, okay? Let me tell you, the headwinds I face and have faced are fierce, ugly, fierce. And I don't give up, and I think I've had a pretty good outlook considering all the negativity that has swirled around me and swirls around me. But people are so short-sighted rather than far-sighted, and I've tried to be more far-sighted thanks to David Bowie's quote, so that they don't comprehend the benefits of challenging what's socially acceptable, popularly taught, God-approved, or even currently legal or governmentally sanctioned or endorsed. And as if doing so, as if rebelling or challenging the status quo, is you are somehow being unloyal or disloyal, unpatriotic, uncool, out of line, nonsensical, blasphemous, insulting, gross, immoral, illogical, or just plain silly. And I have been accused of all of those and more, which is probably where that list comes from. I was even called a heretic in graduate school at Indiana University, one of my supervisors. She called me a heretic. It was unprovoked, just an unprovoked insult, but that happens to me more often. I invite that, apparently. I don't know why, but people walk by and call me names. But anyway, she called me a heretic. But she was married to a preacher man, so I know enough said, right? So anyway, but if we didn't have those fierce foremothers and forefathers who boldly and fiercely and courageously and wickedly smart challenged, questioned, studied, protested the status quo and what's apropos, then we wouldn't enjoy the freedoms and the opportunities that we now do. But again, it's never over. So never sit on your laurels or your achievements or what you've won or lost, because there's always going to be a contingent who wants to take that away. There's always going to be someone who wants to take your rights away and do. I'm not going to be political, but look in the world, look in this country especially. Rights come and go, and so you have to always study, challenge, protest. You have to always be like our fierce, courageous, wickedly smart foremothers and forefathers and keep challenging, because there's always going to be someone wanting to take that away from you. And it's worth fighting for. It is so worth it, okay? So as someone like me who has spent a lot of time sitting at the unpopular kids' table in the lunchroom and being an outcast outsider on the island of misfit toys, but I have learned that doing so can be a whole lot of fun if you dare to try. All right? So cheers to David Bowie. So peace, love, and rock and roll, I think is what you say on that, right? So until next time, toodles. Bye.